Hey everyone. Oh, you just coming to learn this now? Give it time and you'll come to realize that the legal slash, well, the justice system in Canada, yeah, it's not anything that you've been talked about or told about in school as you were growing up. They try to paint this storybook picture, right? But let me tell you, once you come to realize and you grow up and you go through life and have to experience it with, with real world experience, you'll come to realize quickly that no, you live in a pretty authoritarian and very collective, very underhanded country with a legal system and justice system that's based on mysticism and ruled by edicts, not natural or common law where actual victims are involved, right? I'm telling you, it's pretty devastating stuff, but some people apparently are coming to learn this. CBC News out of British Columbia analysis. Hard to beat distracted driving tickets shock drivers who think they're safe at a stop. So, just like remember the impaired driving thing I did where it's like they charge people with impaired even if there's no victim or no crime, right? Or now they're trying to push for even people that have made it home and or sleeping or in their house, right? They can go a couple hours now and charge them with impaired even after they've made it home safely. So like I say, these preemptive, collective, and mandatory minimum punishments that these central planners hand down, yeah, you'll find out when you get into course. It's like, wow, yeah. You might as well be living in North Korea. Well, I mean, the punishments may not be as harsh, but yeah, you're still going to be penalized and punished, right? It's the harshness of the sentencing, but the pretense of the criminality is still there. It's just as viable and just as real as what it would be in China or North Korea or all these countries that you think are they're all dictatorships or authoritarian or communist and all that. Well, same thing here in Canada. The only difference is it's painted in a different light, right, by the political propagandists or the media pundits in this country. Drivers can't resist phone siren song, say police who have handed out $46 million in tickets since 2010. Wonder how many of them that they've actually prevented an actual accident, especially if someone stopped at a stoplight. What is the chance of them causing any harm to anyone if you're stopped, right? And you're texting or doing whatever. I mean, you might, take an extra second. Someone might be behind you. But I guarantee you, if there's someone behind you, they'll beep your horn. And I'm not even saying these people, that they should be doing it, right? But proper education, right, and technologies and trying to help people get over the barriers or these distractions, that's how you help people. But government's all about, no, just using the heavy-handed or the heavy fist of their justice system, right? That's how they deal with everything. Every problem they see out there, it looks like a nail, and they're like, hey, I got a hammer. Wham. That's all they know about. Masroor Jahani was shocked when he lost a fight to overturn a distracted driving ticket he got for plugging his cell phone into a charger while stopped at a North Vancouver intersection in 2015. Jahani used his legal training and spent $700 appealing the ticket in BC Supreme Court, but lost this month because BC's stringent distracted driving laws allow wide latitude for police to target any driver who touches or looks at a digital device. It's all arbitrary, right? It's all completely arbitrary, man. How does this stop distracted driving? I'm exhausted. I'm not sure. I'll take it further now, said Jahami, who is one of thousands of drivers in the province hit with $46 million worth of tickets since 2010. And like I say, I'm not a defender of distracted driving. Let me just be wise, just be smart. But just even with the laws, be wise and be smart, right? Jesus Christ. Nobody wants to do that nowadays. Too much work. Requires too much effort. That's when BC brought in tough laws to try to curb distraction-caused crashes, and they are proving impervious to challenges. I haven't heard of any successful challenges to this law. It was written very well. I know in other parts of the country the laws get challenged and overturned frequently, but this law, they thought this through very carefully, said Mark Milner, road safety manager for the Insurance Corporation of BC. But in reality, okay, yeah, that's probably enough. That's probably about as much as I'm going to read from this article. But I mean, it all comes down to we're all human beings, right? So Yeah, it might be challenged, but if it's totally incumbent and relying on the judges keeping proper justice and proper legality at the forefront of their decision, right? But if you think a judge, which is just a human being, doesn't have their own political narrative or dialogue roaming around in their brain, and they're so perfectly have this ability or capacity to separate the two, like I said, well, you're pretending that these human beings are not human beings, that they're robots of sorts, right? Which they're not. Which is why writing laws on a continual and regular basis based on, arbitrary means or arbitrary measures or arbitrary, it's just contributing on that fast pass race to the bottom. We already had established, just like if you were raising kids, all you have to do is just establish base rules and laws, right? Basic rules. But it means if you're going to have basic rules that everybody has to follow, well, then they have to be universally consistent. Everybody has to be held to account with the same vigor, right? Regardless of your age, sex, creed. I mean, all the pretense of what our legal/justice system is all about. But as we're seeing, it's not. It's ruled by arbitrary means. It's ruled by edict. So they just decide that we're going to criminalize people. Was there a victim involved? That would be the first question as a judge should be. Was there a victim involved for this charge? Oh, no victim? Well, then the rest of the circumstances of the case doesn't mean anything. If there's no victim, then there's no crime. Fewer and fewer judges are willing to own up and adapt that very basis, that very foundational concept of the legal justice system in any Western so-called democracy. Now they're using, like I say, rule by edict or rule by political ideology. So if you come from a political background that believes that, if you drink and drive, right, that somehow you're a bad person, well, you're going to have that pretense every time that, well, of course we have to criminalize and punish these people. Or if you think that, all these people that do this or whatever, if it's all just, like I say, these collective punishments, it's basically paints everyone as if they're all the same, devious, underhanded, immoral, unthinking people. In reality, like I said, you got to get back to the fucking basics. I keep saying this time and time again. Just deal with the case based on the facts that are presented and pertinent to that particular case. Forget about all these fucking coming up with all these arbitrary laws. If there's not a victim, then there shouldn't be a crime. Now, if there's a victim, then yes, be vigorous and make sure you use the authority of the law. The law is the ultimate authority. Politicians, lawyers, judges, they are not the authority. The law is supposed to be the authority. The law is never supposed to be placed in the hands of a person or an individual or a group or a gang. The law is supposed to be written clear and concise enough to the point where everybody understands them and it's easy to discern and disseminate who's broken the law and who hasn't. In the world of rule by edict, it's all up in the air. It's all just a big pile of fog and collective mysticism where nobody really understands. It's just competition. Hey, can I lie better to you? Can I present a better narrative? Can I be a better snake oil salesman? That's the kind of world we live in today. And that's the kind of world where, like I say, where this kind of stuff, it's hurting and hindering and hampering a whole lot of people. And it's very unjust for a large percentage of the population. It's Canadian Libertarian. I love liberty.